All right. There you go. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay, let's see. All right. So today, guys, listen, why is it so loud? Hold on. Okay, let's see. Let's do it this way here. All right. Can everybody hear me? All right. So I'm gonna do it this way. I just won't even worry about my other picture or whatnot. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, hello? Okay. So just gonna today will be open mic. We can discuss anything within reason. All right, anything within reason. So anything you guys have that you actually want to discuss, we can. Open mic. Um, anything you guys want to come on with, just come on. I see. Okay, we got Rabbi Lewis coming on. We'll see if some other people jump in later. And like I said, you guys can come in because I'm on the second part. I'm gonna talk about some other stuff or whatever. So this won't be a super long deal. This won't be super long at all. Maybe an hour, 15 minutes tops. Because I got some things I need to try to get done business wise. All right. So with that being the case, again, House of Yah. I know you guys are keeping up with all the stuff that's going on in the news in regards to Iran. Now, U.S. just started bombing 3 military facilities over in Iran, and that there's literally no other book like our book that has prophesied these different things and the key players and what they're going to be doing. But people are still confused, right? So with that being the case, I'm going to go ahead and start. Shema Yisrael, Yahleinu Yahakad, which means translate from Hebrew to English is Hear, Israel, the Lord our God is one. Not two, not three, not a Trinity, not a rapture, none of that, just one. Isaiah 43:11. Yah is our Savior, and besides Yah, there is none else. So with that being started, I'm gonna go ahead and get it pushing. Anybody anything they want to say?
Yeah, certainly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All do I'm in the shit tunnel. I'm hearing a lot of most expressive muscle. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My name is Rabbi Lewis. As you guys know me, backgrounds in parasitology, Western Baking, and Arabic studies. So Zach invited me on, so I'm here. Zach, you there?
Okay. You saying what now?
Yeah, certainly. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know Zach. Heavy heads that wears the crown. He's a man of many hats, like myself, right? Hello.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight, if he's available, we could do some Bible study. I know he wanted to segue into some other topics. So I typed up a presentation, right? Hello.
Uh-huh. I hear you.
And I want to fine tooth comb the Amana letters. If you're not privy to what that is, if I could share that with them real quick, sir.
Go ahead. I guess, yeah. It's
Yes,
open
certainly. So
mic
the Amana
discussion.
letters, Zach toast the Amana letters. How the Habaru, which he identifies as the Hebrews,
Mm-hmm.
are kicking butt in Canaan, and they're sending letters to the Egyptians saying, "Help us." For example, in the Old Testament, it says that in the KJV it says we were in Egypt for 430 years, but the Septuagint says Canaan and Egypt. It omits the word Canaan because Canaan was considered Egypt. So I want to find two comb their minor letters. Also, he believes that the Pharaoh of the Exodus was Tutmosis the third. I believe it was Ramesses the second. So I typed up a presentation to talk. I had a couple questions. Hey,
Okay, what questions do you have?
my presentation, go to page 4. I had my opening salvo question for the House of Yah. Because there was some things that I saw that was like fishy, you know what I'm saying? Like that I thought was weird. Maybe Zach could help us.
Okay. Uh,
Now keep in mind, Canaan was a vassal kingdom of Egypt, so they ruled it was considered Egypt. Right. Let's go to page 4. My opening question.
Let me ask you a question. You said Canaan was a vassal kingdom for Egypt, right?
Yeah, that's why the Bible says we were in Israel for Egypt for 430 years, but the Septuagint says Canaan and Egypt. It
No,
was like
I
redundant.
understand, but I wouldn't answer. That's not the question I asked. Can you repeat the
Oh, okay,
question?
go ahead. Yeah, please. Yeah.
No, can you repeat the question I asked?
Yeah, you said was it a vassal kingdom of Egypt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it
just
was. Yeah.
okay. And where did you get that from?
Historians like
No,
Manito,
no, no,
like
no, no, no. You didn't. You got it from me.
I got it from you. Okay, I'm not even gonna split hairs over that.
Well,
Zach
no,
told me
no,
that. Fine. Go ahead.
yeah, it's not about splitting hairs. It's about just truth. If you can't be honest and truthful, then what's the point of wasting time, right?
Problem.
So, okay. So, with that being the
I'm
case,
not
so is this page 4 here? It says 4 here.
certainly. So let's dive in, inshallah. So, do we agree King Jeroboam was from the tribe? What tribe was he from?
Doesn't matter. Listen, you got to get to your point.
Okay,
If you
certainly.
have,
So if
hold
you
on,
read
listen,
the
listen,
Bible,
hold on before we go. Listen, if you're going to waste time because you just came on and you made a statement. Your statement you came on and saying, and people can go back and hear it. You made a statement saying with some things you were confused on. Are you confused on King Jeroboam?
I'm gonna segue to what I was confused about Jeroboam.
No, are you confused on King Jeroboam?
No,
Okay, then don't ask questions about things you're not confused about because
certainly,
that's how you're able to try to manipulate and run through different angles. Okay,
no problem.
so we're not doing that. So
Certainly,
just if you got a
yeah,
question, you got a question. I mean, this is something you just sent me. So if you got a question,
yeah,
just ask your question.
certainly. Okay, so let's dive in, inshallah. All right. Hello.
Yes, what's your question?
Yeah, certainly. So before I segue to the question, so um, so in the wilderness when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, right? Right. Moses went up on the mountain and they went to Aaron and it was like, yo, build us a golden calf to as worship, right? So the first thing we're gonna prove is that it wasn't an idol, it was just a pedestal for Yahweh to sit on. Because at that time in the Levant, the gods would sit on top of like something as a pedestal, for lack of a better words, or something for them to sit on. So let's prove that that was not an idol, it was just something for Yahweh to sit on. So let's first question. Hello?
Uh-huh.
Can we after Aaron, it says it is unlikely that Aaron intended the calf to represent another deity, right? So we're exploring was the calf a deity. Okay, you with me?
Uh-huh.
So after he finished making it, why did he declare a feast to Yahweh? Yahweh after he created, right after he created, why did Aaron said he proclaimed a feast to Yah after he built the in Exodus 32 and 5? Let's open up with that. Can you explain that? It made no sense.
Okay, so you want me to go to Exodus 32 and 5?
Yeah, it says that let's read it. I'll read it.
Okay, go ahead.
So the Exodus 32 and I'm saying, sorry, a second. It's Exodus 32 and 5. So hold on a second. Hello?
Uh-huh.
He built the calf, then he declares his feast day to Yah right after he does it, showing that the calf was Yah. But let's prove that.
The calf was Yah.
No, it was
Okay.
like a pedestal for him to sit on.
Just hold on for one. I got to get some out of the kitchen. Hold on 1 second. Keep going.
All right.
Keep going. You good?
I'll wait for you to come back.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So before I read this, I had a question, right? Just so we're on the same page, right? Right.
Yeah.
Now King Jeroboam, he made 2 golden calves in what was that? Was it Shechem or Samaria?
Okay, the first question you just asked me about was you were just asking about Exodus chapter 32,
Okay,
verse
let's
5.
go back to X 32. So we're gonna see how Aaron built the
Yeah, because I need you to get your questions together and not ask me a million questions.
Exodus 32, 4-5.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 4, and he's received them at their hand and fashioned it with the graven tortoise, the golden calf, right?
Uh-huh.
After that, he made a golden calf, and they said, "These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought them out of the land of Egypt." He built the calf, and this is the God that gave us out of Exodus. Verse 5. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it, the golden calf. And Aaron made a proclamation that said, "Tomorrow's the feast of the Lord." So the word is you taught the tetragrammaton. So the first question, why did he build the calf then right after declare a feast to the Lord? Right after he built it.
Well, you
Explain.
got to go back up to verse 1 and 2. You can't jump,
Okay.
remember, line upon line, precept upon precept. The word upon means what?
So
Up
please
on.
put the calf up. Did he did he do a feast to the Lord after he built the golden calf? That's the question.
No, it said tomorrow, not that day. Remember, Moshe
The
came
next
down.
day, did he build it to Yodewave after he built the day after?
That wasn't the first question you asked.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. After the day after he built the calf, did
Mm-hmm.
he do a feast day to God to Yodewave?
No.
Okay.
Because remember, when you go down to verse 6, and they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offering. The people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Right.
Go to verse 5 and explain it.
Well, that's what you asked me. Okay, you just
It's verse
rephrased.
6. Go to verse 5.
No, I'm saying, but you just rephrased your question. It
And
said
let me
tomorrow. It said tomorrow was a feast day, right?
of Yodewave, right?
Yeah, of the Lord. Yeah, for the Most High. Mm-hmm. Hello.
Okay. So the question is, why in the same sentence is he building an altar to the calf, and then in the same sentence he's proclaiming the feast of the Lord?
The same reason your name is Rabbi Lewis and you're a Muslim. You're a rabbi, which is a Jewish thing, right? Has nothing to do with Islam. Then you profess to be a native Israelite, and then you also practice Islam. So aren't those 3 different things?
Yeah.
Okay, so when people are in idolatry, that's what idolatry is. Typically, when people are in idolatry, they mix things, they mix and mash things. So you got idolatry of the golden calf, which is familiar to them in Egypt, but then they've been brought up by a different power. So now you link familiarity with what you know. Like most of you guys, you're a Christian, you're an Israelite, you're a Muslim, and you're a rabbi. You're into Judaism, right? Those are 4 different things.
Hold on,
None of
stop.
them
So
agree with
Aaron
each
was
other.
mixing paganism with real worship. Yeah, that's what you're saying?
That's what idolatry is.
So he's mixing paganism with worship, correct? Correct
Yeah.
worship.
What was the first thing the Most High told us?
Okay.
Hold on. No. What was the first thing the Most High told us in reference to the children of Israel when we came out of Egypt? Don't do what?
Ways of the Egyptian.
Okay. So If they had never been in Egypt, would they be making a golden calf?
Yes.
No, they wouldn't. Because look what it says right here. Go back up to verse 1 and 2.
Okay.
And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down, hold on one second. It says, and when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as up for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, with what has become of him. Meaning we need a replacement for Moses. So give us an authority. And then verse 2, and Aaron said unto them, break off the golden earrings, which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. So the people of Israel, they wanted something to replace Moses because they didn't know where Moses was.
No, brother, this is all top, brother. You just said what happened. You said they're mixing paganism from Egypt with worship of Yah. That's what you said, right?
Correct.
I'm gonna take that away from you. Before I take, let me get the second question because we got to get through everything because we don't have a lot of time. So you already conceded that they were mixing paganism with worship of God.
No,
Yeah, right?
No, I didn't concede that. I was the one that mentioned that. You didn't bring that up. I brought that up.
Okay, so he's saying, not to be redundant, they were mixing paganism. Okay, got you. Okay, next question. Let's go to First Kings. Okay, so did King Jeroboam, who's the king of Ephraim, did he create two golden calves?
It doesn't matter because you just ran from Aaron. So why are you leaving Aaron?
No, we're done with that. You already said that he was mixing paganism with worship of Yah. We're done with that. You already answered the question.
Okay, so but you I think you would have known if you just read verses 1 and 2. You didn't read. You
okay, I'm gonna take that away from you. I'm gonna take it in a minute. But before I take that away from you,
take it away now. Don't wait. Take it away now. Don't waste time.
All right, let's go to page. I'll take that away from right now. Page. I'm gonna show you that the golden calf was not an idol. It was a pedestal for Yahweh to sit on. Because at the time, that was what he used to sit on. Let's prove that.
Hold on. So the creator, which is a spirit, sits on a physical gold calf.
Yeah, it was a custom at the time for guys to sit on top of.
But it wasn't the custom of Israel, because remember, we're not supposed to do the things the Egyptians did.
No, it wasn't the Egyptians. It was. Well, I'm gonna take that away from you as well. Hold on. Let's go down there. Let me get the page. So let's take what he just said off the tape. Okay, go to page 2.
You said page 2?
Yeah.
All right, 2.
Where it says Elson, Lewis, and Donnie mentioned.
I don't see that.
Page 1. I'm sorry.
Okay, page 1.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
You want me to read it? You gonna read it?
Yeah, go ahead. You can read it.
Okay, this is my PowerPoint I typed in my presentation. So Elson, Lewis, and Donnie are 3 scholars, right? You with me?
Mm-hmm.
So let's take what you just said. There was mixing pagan. Okay, a potsherd discovered in Samaria, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they followed a potsherd in Samaria, which was where the Northern Kingdom were living. We agree on that, right?
Yeah, but you didn't say what year. Go ahead.
So a potsherd discovered in Samaria, inscribed Egalah, which it means in Hebrew bull calf of Yah. So they found an inscribed inscription called bull calf of Yah, which is Yah is the God of the Jews, Yahweh, but they called him Yah. Okay, you ready? If Jeroboam was associating a bull calf with Yah rather than Baal, then perhaps this association harkens back to Ugaritic myths, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which portrayed the supreme god El or Bull as the father of the gods and of mankind. Okay, here's the point. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me just go through it. Okay, let's go back down to page 4. So to prove that.
Before we go back to page 4, when you look right here, it says Elson, Lewis, and Downey mentioned in passing, meaning they mentioned in passing a potsherd, meaning a broken piece of a pot, discovered in Samaria, inscribed Egalia, which means in Hebrew, bull calf of Yah, not bull calf, that's Yah. So remember, when you look at a calf or bull calf, that's what we would sacrifice, depending on the time frame, because you didn't mention the time frame at all. But based upon the time frame, it says of, meaning pertaining to. The word of does not mean you are that thing. It means it pertains to you. So it doesn't mean Yah was a bull calf. Just like, watch this here. Hezekiah of the house of Yah. It doesn't mean I'm house of Yah. It means I pertain to the house of Yah.
Right.
So when you say bull calf of Yah, everybody knows the firstling of the herds and things like that belong to Yah.
Okay.
Okay, so that I don't know, and then you didn't even give a time frame for it.
Yeah, I did. It's right. Look under that. I did give a time frame.
Okay,
9th to 6th century BC. Go
it
ahead.
says it says then perhaps this association 3 harkens, you misspell harkens, back to your Ugaritic myths, the 13th century BC, which portray the supreme god El or bull El. Now, watch this here. This right here, if you go to the 13th century, that's 200 years after Moses. So that you can't link that up with Aaron because Aaron's dead. Moses is dead. So you can't take an event in the 13th century, which is the 1200s, and then try to pretend that it existed in the 15th century, which is the 1400s with Moshe and Aaron. Does that make sense?
Oh, my bad. I'm on mute. Hello?
Yeah.
To respond to that, did Jeroboam put in Bethel and Dan the 1 Kings 12, right? We can get it if we need
Go
to
to
get
1
it.
Kings 12. Yeah, go to 1 Kings 12.
Okay. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 12 to answer what he just said. So, go. 1 Kings 12.
That's what you said.
Let's see what Jeroboam. 1 Kings 12, go down to verse 28.
Okay, go ahead.
Kings
Start
28.
at verse 25.
And Jeroboam built Shechem in the Mount Ephraim, right?
Uh-huh.
And dwelt therein and went out from thence and built Peniel. Verse 26. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the king return to the house of David. Verse 27. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord Jerusalem, then shall the heart of people turn against unto their Lord, even to Rehoboam king of Judah, and they shall kill me and go over to Rehoboam the king, right? Here's the point, verse 28. Whereupon the king took counsel, made 2 casks of gold, and said unto them, it is too much for you to go to Jerusalem. Behold, thy gods, O Israel, same thing we just read, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. So, they built the calf in the wilderness.
Stop. So if you look at verse 28 in your dissertation on page 1, you make the mistake and say that you said earlier, people can go back and listen to it. You said this was a seat. And what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start clipping you. When you say you didn't say things, I'm going to start clipping you.
I'm going to substantiate that. I just open this up. I'm going to prove that.
I got you. Hold on for a second.
Go ahead.
So you made a statement and said that the golden calf was a seat for Yah to sit on. Now, when you read this here, he's not saying it's a seat. He's saying these are the gods that brought you out of the land of Egypt, not a seat.
Okay. Verse 29, he set the one in Bethel and the other in Dan. So would it be safe to say Rehoboam, of course, was in idolatry? Jeroboam was in idolatry. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, Jeroboam was in idolatry.
Okay, so we just look. We in the wilderness they built the calf, and then later on in Samaria they built 2 more golden calves. Correct.
So in the wilderness, that's correct. Now before we go there, let's answer. I want you to ask 2 basic questions.
Yeah, before you say what my last is why I went here. So Elijah, what was Elijah, Elisha, and Jehu known for in terms of defending Yah? Here's the question. This is why I went here, brother. This is the whole reason why I went here. So just answer the question.
Don't ask me another question. Just get to your point. Because you're
let's get to the point. So
stop.
Okay, listen, go ahead.
Because what you're doing is you're asking me a bunch of questions, and when you go to another page or another verse, you just ask another question. We never even.
Let's stick to this. Let me stick to this, right? So in the wilderness they build the calf, golden calf, and then Jeroboam does it later again. Correct. Okay.
Hundreds of years later. 400 years later. 400 years
40 years later. Excellent. Eloquent. So Elijah and Elisha and Jehu came after before King Jeroboam? Hello?
You say what now?
Elijah, Elisha, and Jehu, did they come after or before Jeroboam?
I don't. What does it matter?
I'll tell you why it matters. So Elijah, Elisha, if you read Kings, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Jehu were defenders of Yahweh
Yeah.
against Baal, right? So they was like they the one who turned the children of Israel from worshiping Baal, right? That was the after or before Jeroboam.
What is your point?
Here's the point. He's not gonna answer. He doesn't know. Here's the point. Nowhere in the and now correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe if I'm wrong, he correct me. Right? Hello.
No. Don't ask me a question. What's your point?
Here's the point. Elijah, who came after Jeroboam, Elisha, and Jehu were all defenders of Yahweh against paganism, Baal worship, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere in Elijah, Elisha, or Jehu's writings do they talk about Jeroboam's golden calves. It's interesting. Elijah, Elisha, and Jehu never talk about this calf as being pagan,
But
but
why
they
would
talk
they?
about other. Can you explain why? That's the question.
No. I'm asking you. Why would they?
Okay. Oh my God. Did you just ask me that?
Yeah.
Jeroboam built 2 golden calves, guys. Right? We just read it, right, guys?
Uh-huh.
And Dan and what was the other one? I forgot. Hold on a second. It was Dan and Dan. And let me get the other one. I'm sorry. He built 2 golden calves in front of the city, correct?
Mm-hmm.
In front of Dan, and what was the other one? What was the other one, Zach?
You asking me?
Yeah, he built two calves in front of the city, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the question was, why didn't Elijah, Elisha, or Jehu mention that in their writings? That's the question. The first question.
Well, hold on. I'm saying, but why would they have to mention it in writing? It wasn't it when they were alive. It didn't happen when they were alive. They're not contemporaries.
Right, but it was still there when they were alive. Do we agree?
What was still there?
Those calves that was in front of the city of Dan and Ephraim in Samaria.
No.
It wasn't there?
Uh-uh.
Prove that.
Okay, so do you know when Elijah lived? What century?
That's not what I asked for. Please don't move the goalposts.
I know. That's why I'm asking you a question.
We're discussing if repeat with my question. The question was the statues,
I heard your
the
question.
2 golden calves in
Heard your
Samaria,
question.
were they still there
I
when
heard your
Elijah,
question.
Elisha,
I heard you,
and Jehu
and
lived?
I answered that, and I said what?
And I'm asking you to prove that it wasn't there when
I
Elijah
know.
lived. That's what I'm asking
Okay,
for.
I gave a definitive answer. Now I'm asking you a question.
It's not your
When,
turn to ask me a question. It's time for you to show us up. Show me where it says those 2 calves were
okay,
not there.
stop. Elijah was the 9th century. Okay, meaning he was the 800s. Okay, do you understand that so far?
Was that after or before Jeroboam?
That was after.
That was
Jeroboam.
after. So show us those 2 calves in Samaria were not there when the night.
Hold on, stop for a second.
What are you doing?
No, I don't know. What are you doing? Because only
Show us
one of
that the calves were not there in Samaria when Elijah lived. That's what we're asking you for.
we know they weren't there because they didn't speak on them.
That's why I asked you that. Show me that they weren't there. Give me the verse.
No, it's not. No, that's not how this works. I don't need to
Yes,
give
it
you.
is how it works. Show us that the calves were not in Samaria when Elijah lived.
What was
Just show
Elijah?
where the Bible says that. Stop making stuff up.
Who did Elijah go to?
He's not going to answer the question.
I am answering the question. It's just what I'm doing is I could give you the answer, but giving you the answer doesn't edify the people that are listening to this video.
I disagree with that. That would just end the argument.
That's fine. But
we're beating around the bush. That would end the
argument.
What you can show it wasn't there. That ends the argument.
What happens is you can get your own channel and do your own videos. I'm not doing this video again. I'm not doing this video for you. I'm doing this video.
Copy now. We just asked you to give us the page numbers so we can read it, bro.
What page number?
Show us in the Bible where it says
I just said to you, look, listen. Both of us just mentioned that Elijah never talked about it, right?
That was my point that I made in my presentation.
And did I agree with it or did I disagree with it?
You did. You agree with it.
Okay, so then if they didn't mention it, how can you ask me to show you something they didn't mention? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's how crazy this is. You asked me, you made a point. You made a point. I agreed with the point. And I said that they didn't mention it. And you said, well, prove that it wasn't there. How can I prove somewhere there that they didn't mention? You're asking for a page number to something that your book and I agree with that they didn't mention it. So if they didn't mention it, I'm supposed to pull it from where? And then you're gonna try to run around and say, see, you can't prove it because you're wrong. No, that's all you ever do. Again, let me show what just happened. They didn't mention it. Both of us agree with that. Your response to question me again is not answer my question, is to ask me to show and prove where it didn't exist. But we just acknowledged they didn't talk about it. So if they didn't talk about it, why would you ask me to show you something that they talked about that we just agreed they didn't talk about? Don't run from that question. That's a real question. Don't run from it.
You just twisted my words. That's not what the question was.
No,
I didn't ask you. We already established that Elijah, excuse me, and Jehu rededicated the Israelites to Yah, right? From worshiping Baal. And the question was, why didn't they mention the calves in Samaria that King Jeroboam built?
Because those two because they were dealing with Baal worship. Those two golden calves weren't Baal. Just like when they came out of Egypt, they came out of Egypt into the wilderness. They didn't build that golden calf in Canaan land. That golden calf was built in the wilderness. The wilderness is in Arabia. It's not in Canaan land. You didn't know that? See, you're trying to make,
so that,
okay, no, I know it's true. So you're trying to make a correlation between these two time frames that's literally split up. Now at this point you're in the 8th century, so 9th century, you're going to the 800s. But Moses is the 15th century to 1400s. So now what you're doing is you're talking about a 600-year difference, but they're not even the same thing. It tells you in Exodus 32 verses 1 and 2 that those gods came out of where? Egypt. Here it says it's not talking about Egypt, and Elijah and Elisha, they're talking about Baal worship 600 years later. So when we went into the wilderness of sin, or the wilderness, which is in Arabia, it's not in Canaan land. We weren't bringing deities from Canaan land. That golden calf came out of Egypt. And I'm going to go back and reread it again. So that was Exodus 32. It says, and when the people saw that Moses...
we were in Chronicles. You were in Chronicles.
No, we were just in 1 Kings. We weren't in Chronicles.
No, that was 20 minutes ago. We're in 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 28.
I just said that, and you just said Chronicles. You see,
my bad. You went back to Exodus. We're in 1 Kings 28.
I'm only going back to Exodus because that's the first time there's a mention of a golden calf.
We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with Jeroboam. So okay, so he just... All right, so he just reinvented the... Okay, so let me ask you a better question.
No, hold on, stop. This is what you said. You went to Exodus 32 first, verse 4 and 5. And then you ran to Kings to try to mirror that it's 2 times they're worshiping a golden calf.
Right.
But what I'm showing you is this first one in Exodus came out of Egypt. It didn't come out of Canaan land. Right. And then I'm also showing you in 1 Kings 12 that when Elijah and Elisha them were going against the prophets of Baal, not people, not Jannes and Jambres in Egypt. This is 2 different civilizations and 2 different calves.
Okay, so better. Okay, fine. Okay, let's say this right. Better question would be.
No, we're not going to say
us any. Right. So you said Jeroboam was in idolatry, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And hold on. Here's the proof. Hold on. Listen. Stop. Here's the proof. Because you read it, and it just went over your head. But let's go back to 1 Kings 12 again, right? Let's see. Here we go. Verse 25. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein. And this is going to attack your whole where the kingdom is, because Jeroboam is way after. Jeroboam is contemporary with Rehoboam, which is Solomon's son. So the temple had already been built by Solomon. So that's going to kill that argument. Don't worry about it. I got you.
What argument? What are you referring to?
Don't worry about it. You'll see it. You'll see it. Just remember, you'll see it. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence and built Penuel. Verse 26. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. Remember, Jeroboam is not from the house of David. He's up there in Ephraim. He's the northern kingdom. Remember, Rehoboam had the kingdom rent from him. That was the prophecy given to Solomon. Okay? So now Rehoboam is setting up a place of worship in Ephraim. The Most High never told him to do that. The Most High told David and Solomon, Shlomo, to set it up in Jerusalem. But Jeroboam is going against that, and he's building it in Mount of Ephraim. Now watch this here. Verse 26. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. Because he's not from the house of David. Rehoboam is, not Jeroboam. Verse 27. And if this people go up to sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn against their Lord. That's him. Even unto Rehoboam. See that? Rehoboam is the king of what? Judah. And they shall kill me. Who is the me? Jeroboam, and go again to Rehoboam, king of Judah. So what he was doing was, the temple had already been established. So what he was doing is, he's the one that built the worship place in Ephraim at Shechem. And he's doing it so that the Israelites won't go worship in Jerusalem. So that shows you right there, beat on his character, that he was not only an idolater, he was going off. Now watch this here, verse 28. Whereupon the king took counsel, not from Yah. It doesn't say anything about Yah. It says, and made
Who did he take counsel with the builders? Who did he take counsel with?
The northern people in the northern kingdom.
Who did he take counsel with?
With the people in the northern kingdom. Remember, he's up there in Shechem. He's in Ephraim. He's in Shechem.
Okay. All right.
So he's taking counsel with the people up there. They're trying to establish a place of worship there. You read about that also at the woman at the well with JC.
That's not true. That was because you read Josephus.
I'm not discussing Josephus. I just said what I said.
I'm not neither. It's not in the Bible.
Well, hold on. What's not in the Bible?
I'm telling you. Give me 5 seconds to say what I was going to say. During the Persian exile, the Persians, when the Babylonians got defeated by the Persians, the northern tribes had built a temple in Samaria. It's in Josephus'
brother. That's 6th century. That's 900 plus years.
Yeah, they built the temple that was in Samaria after the Persian exile.
I know.
Maccabees.
That's over. Hold on. Stop. Listen.
Now here's the point, bro.
900 plus 500 is 14. That's 900 years later.
Okay, hold on, let me land my plane. So the Maccabees,
you're not gonna land a plane because you're in a different time frame now.
No, I'm not. I'm making a point. So they built the temple that was in Samaria during the Persian exile, and what year was Maccabees? The Maccabees destroyed it.
What time was that?
What time was what?
When they built this temple during the Persian exile.
You keep coming. You're not hearing what I'm saying. I said
I heard you. That's why. Listen. If you don't know, swallow your pride.
There's nothing not to know. I'm quoting Josephus' right.
I'm not asking you to quote. I didn't ask you anything about Josephus.
Dude, I just told you when the Persians defeated the Babylonians, they built the temple.
And I said, when was that?
When the Persians defeated the Babylonians.
No, when was that? When? What time frame?
600 BCE.
Thank you. So now you just jumped from Rehoboam the 9th century down to the 6th century.
Dude, that's not what I did. I was rebuttaling what you said about the woman at the well in John chapter 4.
No. Listen. They're just
mentioned that. You just brought it up.
Yes, because they're just taking these places, and when they get tore down, they just rebuild on them.
Okay, so here's the point of you. So the point why I went here is because the Maccabees, if you read Josephus' writings, it's not in the Bible, they destroyed that temple in Samaria that the Samaritans were worshiping for hundreds of years. They destroyed it. Hence, fast forward
and they just
to the
rebuilt
1st century, huh?
And they just rebuilt it.
I don't know. No, they didn't rebuild it.
No, I'm telling you, they just rebuilt it.
What do you mean? Who rebuilt it?
Louis, when you build a temple, when people burn it down, that's your place of worship. You just rebuild it.
No, the one that was there during the Persian exile, the Maccabees destroyed it. They destroyed it.
And later on in the time of JC, it was rebuilt.
Yeah, so that's why the northern and southern kingdom had beef. Because the Maccabees had just burnt it. But anyway,
they had beef right here in the 9th century.
So the question is, you just confirmed.
I ain't no question. I was talking and you've interrupted
me. Go ahead. We're in 1 Kings 12:28. Go ahead.
No, I already read that. So then it says what? It says, and whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold and said unto them, is it too much for you to go up to Jerusalem? Behold, thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. Now it's 2 gods. It's 2 golden calves. In Egypt, we didn't worship a golden calf. We brought that out of Egypt. This is for so you're looking at 1400. This is like the 800s. So you're looking at about a 600-year difference. So 600 years later, when the kingdom is rent from their hands, all of a sudden you see 2 more golden calves come up. But he's telling you that he made those out of his own heart. Yah never told him to do these. When you go back in Exodus Exodus chapter 32, Yah never told him to make that golden calf either. That's why when Moses came down, they destroyed it. and they were chastised, and the result was the people were swallowed up. They were killed for making that golden calf. So it can't be a seat for Yah. If I do something for Yah that he wants me to do, why would he kill me? Why would he kill 100,000 people? The answer is he wouldn't. So that's what I'm showing you. It's idolatry in Exodus, and it's idolatry here in Kings. Now watch this here. And it says, and he set the one in Bethel, and he put the other he put in Dan. Verse 30. And this thing became a what? Verse 30. This thing became a what?
Sin.
A sin. So don't give me this nonsense that this is something Yah told him to do, because it's a sin. For the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan. So you got the one in Bethel, you got the one in Dan. And it's a sin. It's idolatry. So that just took everything you said off the table. Also, when you go back to Exodus 32, Shemot 32, that one there was the same thing. It was a sin.
So hold on. Stop. Who wrote the Book of Kings?
It doesn't matter. It's our history. It's not really Kings.
I'm making a point.
It's not no. It's not really Kings. It's Chronicles.
Yeah, who wrote this right? Who wrote 1 Kings 12? Chronicles.
Many people did.
What was the name of the scribe who wrote it?
It doesn't say. It's a history book.
It doesn't say. Okay, you just said it
Correct.
Doesn't say.
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously the perspective of the what was against what he's doing. Okay, so next question. Next question would be: did any prophet that came after this condemn Jeroboam for making this?
No, because Jeroboam was dead. Remember, the northern kingdom went in idolatry. This is idolatry. It's a sin.
No, that's not the question. The question again was: did any prophet ever talk about this event of him building the two calves in Dan and all that? And
yeah, that's here in 1 Kings. That's what you're reading in 1 Kings. This is not Elijah.
No, I mean, outside of what we just read, is there another verse?
No, listen. No? The northern kingdom don't have a Bible. They don't have the scrolls we have.
No, okay. Here's the question again. I didn't answer the question. The question was, did any prophet? Can you name any prophet that?
No, stop. I'm saying, look, listen. You're not listening to what I'm saying to you. You think I'm not hearing you, but I do hear you. What prophet is from the northern kingdom?
Wait, Elijah was from the northern kingdom. Elisha was an Ephraimite. No, he was from the northern tribes. What are you talking about? Elisha was from the northern kingdom. What is this guy talking about?
Lewis.
Let's prove that.
Lewis. That's not what I'm at. What I'm showing you is this. Elijah comes apart in the 9th century, which is the 800s. This is after this.
Elijah was from the tribe of Issachar. Elisha was from the tribe of Issachar, so that kills that argument. Well, what prophet was from the northern kingdom?
No, it doesn't kill the argument. I'm asking.
Elisha was from the tribe of Issachar. Let's get Elijah.
That was a question I asked you. I didn't say there were no prophets. I asked you a question. I said, what prophets were from the northern kingdom? You said Elijah and Eliah, right?
Right.
But they came way after this, what we're reading.
Okay, so let me repeat the question. That's true. Okay, so was there any prophet who came after Jeroboam that condemned him for doing this?
No.
No, why not? Why does nobody talking about what he did in Dan and
again, they're not talking about it. They're not talking about it because it's not there. That's the only
who destroyed the two calves in Bethel and Dan and in the Samaria. Who destroyed it? Show me that.
No, that's what oh my listen what I'm saying. You asked me earlier.
Who went in there?
Okay, listen, hold on, listen. Now we're running in circles now because of you. Listen, you asked me earlier, did Elijah and Eliah, did they write anything about it, right? And what was my answer?
You said no.
Okay, and then you said in your book, you say no as well, right?
Correct.
And now you're reverting back to the same argument, asking.
No, it's not. You already conceded they went against Baal, not the calves. So the question I asked was, did any prophet anywhere in any part of the Bible condemn Jeroboam for what he did in Bethel and Dan? That was the question.
Yes, that's what you're reading in Kings. And then
outside of the verse that we're reading.
Stop interrupting me. Because see, what you read in Kings is us, the people, prophets, telling us what went wrong. But
dude, that's not. I'm talking about outside of this narrative in any other chapter in the Bible.
All right. So listen, again, the kingdoms are split. Judah is not writing for Ephraim, and Ephraim is not writing for Judah. It's two different kingdoms. They're totally separate. And remember, after this takes place in the 800s, 800 years later, you have them going into captivity in the 700s. So it only stands to reason that the people weren't worshiping those golden calves because El Eyad didn't mention them.
Okay, so is there any verse that says who destroyed it? I'm not trying to
No,
change
that's
that.
what you already
No?
asked that question 3 times.
Okay, you said no, correct?
Louis, if they're not talking about it, then why would I have a verse to say who destroyed it?
Okay, so just to be crystal, we don't know who destroyed it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, we'll go for
No,
it.
but if a prophet is sent to stop you from being an idol worshiper and he doesn't mention that idol, then what does that mean? That's the question. I'm asking you a question.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
You say what now?
What was your question?
Okay, listen. If a prophet is sent to tell a group of people not to worship an idol, but they don't mention a particular idol, what does that mean?
Well, from our point of view, I believe the reason why it wasn't mentioned because it was not an idol at all.
But we just saw it was an idol. It says it was sin.
Yeah, but there's no other verse outside of this to confirm that.
You don't need another verse outside of this to confirm it. It's sin.
Of course you do. The Book of Kings and Chronicles, for example, mirrors itself multiple times. Like you'll have the same story in Kings and Chronicles reiterated. So the Bible does it all the time. The Bible will have a verse somewhere and it'll reiterate what happened in another story. I could give you 100 examples of that. So Zach just conceded there's no other. Hold on, bro.
You don't need to. That doesn't happen for everything either.
Okay, well we'll go segue to that. But the point is, there's no other verse in the Bible anywhere where anybody condemns what Jeroboam did with the 2 calves in Bethlehem.
Correct, because the reason you don't have another verse for it is because it's 2 different kingdoms. I just said
irrelevant. I just showed you Elisha was from the tribe of Issachar.
Yes, but
he's from the northern tribe. That's irrelevant.
But listen what I'm saying. But what I'm saying to you is that's us writing about that. The northern
dude, you just conceded. We don't know who wrote Kings. What you call Chronicles? What the Bible calls it. We don't even know who wrote it. You just conceded to that
because it's not. We don't know who wrote it because it's history spanning hundreds of years.
So how do you don't know? This could have been the Southern Kingdom who had issues with Jeroboam writing from their perspective. How can you not know that? You don't know who wrote it.
No, that's what I'm saying. They did.
This is obviously the Southern Kingdom who had beef with the Northern Kingdom, speaking from their point of view. This is obvious.
Correct. And so I told you, show me the text from the Northern Kingdom, and you can't.
I just showed you Elisha was from the tribe of Issachar.
I didn't say the person. I said the text. You get it?
What do you mean text? Reiterate what you mean.
Okay, look. You don't have a Northern Kingdom Bible that don't talk about in Southern Kingdom. They talk about nothing but Northern. See, majority of the stuff in the Bible we have today is from the Southern Kingdom.
I just said that. This is the Southern Kingdom's perspective who have beef with the Northern
Kingdom. So show me the Northern Kingdom perspective. What Bible is that?
In fact, if you read for example,
no, that's not no. What Bible? Name the Bible the Northern Kingdom have. That's discussing
the Samaritan Book of Moses. The Samaritan Book of Moses.
If it's the Samaritan Book of Moses, it's not explaining the history.
Hold on, before we segue to that, let's use an example, right? You guys may be familiar with. We had the Moabite stele, right? You familiar with the Moabite stele? Obviously.
No,
right?
I know. I'm not. No, we're not changing subjects. I don't want to.
No, it's still on topic. We don't.
No, I'm not. No, it's not. And if
right.
you go there, I'm going to kick you off. And I go to somebody else.
All right, I digress. He doesn't want to go now. Okay, so we just learned 3 things. We learned that there's no verse that says that any prophet condemned Jeroboam for what he did.
Yeah, no, stop. That's a lie. I just showed you in Kings.
Outside of the obvious, the verse we just read. Outside of that,
listen. Verse. Stop saying. Look, let me tell you something. You know what you have? You have a problem with this we thing. Don't speak for me. Speak for yourself only. Because when you say we, you're trying to concede, like you're trying to get like I'm conceding something. When I make a clear, definite statement that something is not there, and then you agree with it, then you try to run back and say you concede, as if you're right about something. You're not right. If I'm making the point, how are you right about it?
Okay, so we just confirmed. Use a better word.
No, not confirmed. No, not confirmed. Because I said it. The only way to confirm is if you agree with it, and if you agree with it, then you lost that point.
Okay, so we established 2 things. And correct me if I'm wrong. We've established we don't know.
No, not we. Not we. You keep saying we. You haven't established anything.
Let's confirm 2 things. We've confirmed, and correct me if I'm wrong. So yes or no. We've confirmed that we don't know who destroyed the 2 calves. Correct?
Yeah. Do you? Now listen. I said that. Now, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so then that's you confirming, not we.
Okay, so I confirmed
Yes,
that there's no verse that says who destroyed it, correct?
correct.
Okay, also we confirmed that no prophet ever condemned him for doing it, correct?
No, that's what
Outside
First
of the
Kings.
verse that we just read, there's no name of a
No,
prophet.
no, you can't listen. That's like saying, my girlfriend didn't get pregnant by somebody outside of me. She's never been pregnant. No, she's pregnant. If I got her pregnant, you can't say she's never been pregnant outside of me.
Do we have the
No,
name of any prophet condemning Jeroboam for what he did?
no, not the name, but we
Not
have
the
the
name. Okay, let's go for it. There's no name. Okay, let's go for it.
So no, stop. Now stop. What do you think? Just by you saying that, what do you think just happened when you just did that?
What do you mean? It's checkmate. Headshot.
That's not. No, it's not. When you look at the, hold on, watch this here. When you look at them, and I've explained this to you on multiple occasions, I really get tired of explaining it. When you look in American history, did one man write American history?
No.
Did Muhammad write all of Islamic history?
No.
So you agree there's been thousands upon thousands of people writing Islamic history.
Right.
Checkmate. That's what you're doing. That's obvious. That's how history works, because no man is alive that long. So I just showed you in Kings, when you look at the time of David, David is mentioned in Kings. In Kings, 1 Kings 12, David is dead. David's grandson is ruling now. Solomon is dead. This is not the same people are not writing the same story over hundreds of years. That's impossible. You would have to be alive for hundreds of years to write it. So when you
I'm asking the question was, why didn't Yahweh destroy it? Destroy those two golden calves in Bethel. Why did he destroy it?
What do you mean?
If it was idolatry, why did he just smash it? Why didn't he have somebody to destroy it?
No, because it was a separate kingdom. Remember, no, listen. They made a conscious decision. The governor there, Jeroboam, and his people and his council made a conscious decision to go against Yah. And Yah, who is long suffering, because this is in the 800s. The 9th century Elijah means 800s BCE. So Yah, who is long suffering, gave them time to get it right. They didn't. So from 800s all the way to 722, what happened in 722?
The Syrians came in and took him.
Why?
Idolatry.
So what are you arguing? Yah is long suffering. Yah does listen. Here's a problem. Sue and I was just talking about this on the phone not even an hour ago. How when the Creator comes to you, he can tell you something and tell you to do something, but he's not going to force you to do it. Like when you look at the children of Israel, my example to Sue, she's my witness. I mentioned to Sue, I said, how is it like when we look at war, the Most High as a child, I always thought, why didn't the Most High just go out there and fight all the battles? But as Sue and I was discussing, he didn't do that because by us participating in the event, it grows us as a people. Because if something just happens all the time to people, or if good things just happen.
I get that, but the question was, maybe we repackage that. Why didn't Yahweh talk about destroying it? That'd be the better question. In the Bible. Why didn't he talk about
it? Listen, he did. That's the law. That's Hadabarim 28.
Why do we have the records of a prophet who went in and destroyed it? The way Elisha, destroyed the Baal worshippers, for example. You know, that'd be the question.
No, the Baal worshippers, Lewis, that was from the Canaanites. They were living amongst the Canaanites. So those people that was worshiping Baal.
That's irrelevant. We came out of Egypt by mixed multitude. There were Egyptians around with us. So
yes, but the covenant wasn't made with everybody. The covenant was made with Israel.
That's irrelevant. There were Egyptians living amongst us. So to
but
say
the covenant wasn't made
amongst
with
the Canaanites is redundant.
No, stop. The covenant wasn't made with the Egyptians. Yes, you can live there. You got to follow the laws, but the covenant wasn't made with Egyptians.
Yes, it was. Let's debunk that.
No, we're not debunking anything because you don't know enough about the Bible. Let's keep going.
All right, let's keep. I was about to cut that
because you just acknowledged this was sin. You acknowledge.
No, that's what the perspective of the.
I know. And who is y'all talking to? Show me y'all talking to the Northern Kingdom. Chapter and verse.
That's not the Moabites telling, but you cut me off.
Stop. We got in the Southern Kingdom, from our perspective, the Southern Kingdom, we have them literally Hezekiah sending out letters to them and telling them to come keep Passover hundreds of years later. And guess what happens? They refuse, some laugh, some mock him, but some do come, and whatever ailment they had, Yah healed them.
Yeah,
It
that's
says
why
it in
if
the
you
book.
read Acts the second chapter, which you reject.
I don't read Acts. I don't read the New
All
Testament.
right, he's gonna run from Acts. All right.
Look, it's not running. Listen, Delta Roots, Sue, Fred, anybody in this, do me a favor. If you guys know I don't teach from the New Testament or follow Jesus Christ, put a 1 in the chat, please. For some
Nobody's
reason, you
denying
keep
that. I
saying this.
understand. I know that. I'm saying if you
Hold
read
on,
Acts 2,
hold on. How are you telling? No, stop. How are you telling me that I'm running from a book that everybody here, including you,
all right,
know
let's
we don't
digress. He
know?
doesn't want to deal with Acts. All right.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Delta. Everybody knows I don't follow the New Testament. You know that, but you're such a liar and a coward. You're trying to pretend that I'm running from the New Testament when you know I don't follow it.
All right, let's digress. Let's go to the book of Joshua. Let's go to page 2.
Hold on, before we go to the book of Joshua, do you yield to the fact that the two calves were a sin?
From the perspective of the Southern Kingdom, absolutely.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. What about from the perspective of the Quran?
Say it again.
What about from the perspective of the Quran?
We'll go to the Quran. Hold on.
No. I'm asking you a simple question. According to the Quran, were any of the golden calves idolatry?
Yeah. Let me get that real quick.
Go
I
ahead.
don't want to butcher that. Hold on a second. Hello.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I got like a pop up. 1 second.
Because
The
it's
golden
funny
calf
how
story is recounted in the Quran. But there's some key differences. Okay, let's discuss that. Hello.
no, if you go to Surah 7, 148 through 155, what does it say? You want me to
I'm
show it?
reading it. It says the golden calf stories were counted in the Quran.
You're giving me a recap. I'm talking about the verses. What does the verse say?
I'll get that next. Hold on. The golden calf
No,
was
you
made by
won't. No,
man.
you'll get it now. You'll get removed.
All right.
This is the Hezekiah ben Israel show.
I respect that. In my part, I didn't mean to be.
Okay, so yeah, 7 and 148. So watch this, ladies and gentlemen. He's been arguing that the golden calf wasn't a bad thing, right?
Let's go to Surah Araf and Surah
No, you're gonna
Kahf.
go to the surah I told you to go to.
Yeah, I am 7148, right?
Yeah. Now hold on.
Yeah, I have
Before
it
you
here.
go,
Hold on, pull
shut
it
your
up.
mouth. Shut your mouth. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go there and notice this, ladies and gentlemen. He's been trying to pretend that the Southern Kingdom is lying about the golden calf being a idol and that somehow it was the throne that Yah sat on. Everybody heard him in this broadcast say this.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna drag his fat behind to the Quran. So, and he's a Muslim. And since he's a Muslim, I want him to see if I want y'all to see if he's gonna call Yahweh, not Yahweh, Allah Sapata Tawana, the faggot moon god. I want to see if he's gonna call him a liar. So let's go to it.
This guy's a calf.
I take that with the greatest of honors. Go ahead. 7 and 148.
Yeah, let me start off ayat 147. 1 second.
I'll put it on the screen so the people can follow along.
Hold on 1 second.
So that y'all can follow along. Watch it. Thank you, Delta Roots. He knows it's idolatry, but like I said, he's an idol worshiper. And he has a mental illness. He's debilitated. So that's gonna always have problems. Right?
This is ad hominem. All right.
It's not ad hominem, that's true.
Yeah, you're committing it out. Okay, the deeds of those who deny signs of the meaning with Allah in the Akhirah, the hereafter will be in vain. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Will they be rewarded except for what they have done? And this is the point. 148 he's quoting. In the absence of Moses, his people made from their golden jewelry an idol of a calf, right?
A what?
An idol of a calf.
But it's not an idol, right? It's not an idol.
Okay, but I'm gonna fine tune this. That made a lowing sound. Did they not see that it could neither speak to them nor guide them to the right path? Still, they took it as a god and were wrongdoers. Okay.
A god of what?
Yeah, hold on. I agree with this.
No. Not, hold on. A god of what? Wrongdoers. So now, It just said in your Quran, it's on the screen, that it was a idol, and it says, and it said does turn wicked in this version, but it says an idol for the wrongdoers, sinners. Are wrongdoers sinners? Verse 148. how the golden calf acquired the sound of a calf explained in footnote 2096. 449, here we go. Finally, when they regretted their actions, hold on, if they're doing something for the Lord, why are they regretting it? And realized they had gone astray. Oh, they went astray. But he said it's righteousness. He said it's the seed of God. It says, unless our Lord redeem us with his mercy and forgive us, we will be losers. So they're losers now. Verse 150, when Moses returned to his people, angry and disappointed. Why is Moses, Delta Roots, Sue and Fred, why is Moses angry with his people for making a seat for God? No, because it's an idol. And your Quran calls it an idol, and it's for the wicked and the wrongdoers. And it said they regretted their actions. They asked for forgiveness. Now watch what Moses says. When Moses returned to his people, angry and disappointed, he said, what a terrible thing you have done in my absence. Could you not wait for the commandments of your Lord? He threw down the tablets and took hold of his brother's head, pulling him towards himself. Aaron said, son of my mother, the people took advantage of my weakness and almost killed me. That's what Aaron is saying. Oh man, I was weak, man. They tried to kill me. Let not my enemy rejoice, and do not count me with the transgressing people. Oh, so now the people are transgressing with the golden calf. So again, you just got smashed. I had this in my back pocket. So either you're gonna call your God a liar, Allah, and his false prophet Muhammad a liar, or you're gonna concede. Those are the only options you have.
Okay,
Or the third option, you can now lie and say, let me tear apart the Quran like you always have to do the Bible.
Can I respond now?
Yeah, respond. It was saying, right?
So I want to be respectful, and I apologize for cutting you off for coming off as crass, because it's your show. All right?
Okay. Was it sins?
Yes, and I explain why. So, hello?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, Yahweh is not Allah. Allah is not Yahweh. Yahweh is...
I didn't say it was. The story is there.
Correct. So
hold on, stop. No, stop. No, not correct. Listen. All of us here are Israelites and follow the Most High, Yah Eloheinu.
Yeah.
Okay. Not you. I'm not talking about you. I don't care what you and the Muslims do. I'm not discussing you guys. I'm talking about the children of Israel and those that cleave to the house of Israel. We all follow Yah Eloheinu. Okay. So we know Allah is not Yah Eloheinu. We know that. That's not the problem we have. That's the problem you have. Your book came later. Our book is older than your book. So according to your book, your God, leave our God out of it, even though the story came from us. Your God says it's wrong. Your God says they were wrongdoers and sinners and they was worshiping idols. Do you yield to that?
Yes, but I explain why.
So that's the end of it. That's the end of it.
All right, let's just keep going because he's not going to allow me to respond to that.
That's Louis. I did when you said, yeah, it's all idol worship. Remember, you came on initially saying it wasn't idol worship.
No, I was. Can I? Give me 10 seconds to respond to that? Explain why.
Go ahead.
Thank you, my God. So, let's go to Zechariah 12:10.
So now you're gonna jump all the way down later in history. Okay, let's go. And if you notice, you keep jumping across timelines like you're a goddamn time traveler.
Precept must be upon precept.
That's not precept upon precept. It means the verse on top of the verse.
No, it doesn't. If you ever read that,
stop. Listen, you're listening, because the correct in Isaiah says precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. Here a bit little, there a little. That's the third thing you do.
Yeah.
So you look at the chapter and verse in totality first, line upon line. You don't just read, you don't start in verse 4 and 5 and then skip 1, 2, and 3 and then jump down to 19. You don't do that.
Not true. You ever read the precept? This guy's know what he's talking about. If you ever read a precept study Bible. Go ahead.
Once you do that, then you got the context of the story. Now you can go link it up with other places. That's how you read the Bible.
Okay, two things in front of that. First thing, hold on, 12 and 10. Before you read that, first of all, they have, if you look, hello?
Mm-hmm.
They have precept study Bibles, and in the precept study Bible, you might be in Genesis 3 and 16. It'll take you to a verse of Zechariah.
Yeah, but that's what
be in First Kings. They'll take you to a verse of
Y'all didn't do that. Hold on. Do you yield that the heathen did those things?
Hold on. Before you put the cuff with horse, they have precept study Bibles where you have a verse, and beneath the verse, there'll be a verse.
It's called a footnote. Everybody in this chat right now is smarter than you and knows the Bible better than you.
Okay, I disagree, but okay.
I know you do, but listen, I know it better than you, and I'm telling you they know it better than you.
They have precept study Bibles, so they'll take you to a verse
Don't
from a
say it a
totally
third
different
time, or
book.
I'm gonna boot you. I'm gonna boot you. You've already
All
said
right.
it 3 times.
All right, no problem. So Revelations 1:7. Let's go to Zechariah 12:10. It says, "Behold, he come with the clouds, and every eye shall see him." This is Jesus, and they will pierce him, and all the kings of earth shall wail before him. Even so, Amen. So it says, "Those who pierced him shall wail because of him." This is Jesus of Nazareth. Now let's show you that's in the Old Testament, Zechariah 12:10. It just says that people who pierced him shall see and mourn. Right?
Yeah, who's the
Zechariah
I?
12:10. And I will pour upon the house of David and the terrace of Jerusalem, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn. It's the same story from Revelations.
No, yeah, but
Notice
Revelation came hundreds of years later, and it wasn't written by us.
it's saying the same thing, Zechariah 12. They should look upon whom they pierced.
Louis. I can write things right now that link up with the Quran. You wouldn't take what I wrote as gospel,
So
would
more
you?
of the story, Yahweh is Jesus. Allah is not Yahweh. Yahweh is Jesus.
So God died.
It says, this is your book. It says they should look upon me whom
No,
they
it's
have
not.
pierced.
Again, everybody here, thank you, Delta Roots. As Delta Roots just said, he says, read the whole chapter.
It
When
says
you
we
read,
pierce Yahweh. How can we pierce Yahweh? Yahweh is Jesus.
no,
So
it's
when
not.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
Because
calls it like,
it's not literal, it's metaphorical.
no, it's
Look,
not. We just read it in Revelation 1. It says the same thing. We pierced him. That was literal.
okay, listen, idiot.
Oh
Aren't
my
you the one on record
God.
saying? Aren't you the one on record saying that Jesus was never crucified Muslim?
No, I never said that.
Oh, stop. So Jesus, was he crucified?
No, I explain what happened.
Oh, no, listen. You know what? I'm getting really tired of talking to you because you're a goddamn liar. I'm asking
Nobody's
you one more
lying. I'm
time.
explaining to you what
You
happened
know,
in
you're
the
not gonna.
text.
You ain't. I just told you. You're not gonna explain. You're gonna answer what I asked you, or you can kick rocks.
All right, I answered the thing you asked.
Again,
I was answering what
no,
you said, bro.
Louis. Everybody here knows that you are literally on record every time saying that Jesus was never crucified, and the
And
Muslims
yes,
don't.
I agree with. Yes, I still hold to that.
Okay, now stop. And your Quran says, tell me if I'm wrong. Does your Quran say there was made one to resemble Jesus?
Exactly. He had a twin brother.
Now stop. If it's his twin brother, is it him?
Obviously not.
Okay, then stop. So you just said this person here that was pierced was Jesus.
Correct. I explained what happened.
No. We don't need an explanation. Look, was Jesus pierced? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so it can't be him.
No, the Bible scribes conflated two stories. The historians do it all the time. They'll
Hey,
take two stories and make one
anybody
story.
else want to come on? We can discuss something else in detail. Because again, nobody cares what you believe and what Bible scholars say, Louis. Nobody really cares. See, here at the
Bible
house of
scholars
Yah,
are crystal clear. They took two
okay,
stories and made one
I'll
story.
mute you. Here at the house of Yah, you're gonna get right teaching, not what I believe. Notice I don't say what I believe. Sue is on this broadcast right now. Fred is on this broadcast right now. Some of the things I believe, I never discuss on public forums because I can't substantiate them, even though I can present a lot of evidence for them. But I don't talk my beliefs with people because my point is to tell people this is the truth. If you're looking for the truth, you can't accept Hezekiah's beliefs. So again, there's things about the text that I know that people don't know about the text. I don't deal with belief though. The last video I made, I explained that the belief is what you guys do because belief is ignorance. If I don't know something, I don't pretend I know it and lie. I don't do that. Fred has been with me, as you see here, as Fred said, he says exactly. I've been doing this for decades. I've had people, historians, biblical scholars, professors, he can verify I had them ripping and running. I was doing this when I was in my 20s. People making up, people pulling out Bibles I ain't never even seen before. And he'll tell you, he knows I'm not lying. He was there with me. I've been knowing this brother since I was 14 years old, and I'm 44. I've been knowing him 30 years. We've been friends, brothers for 30 years. If he walked in my door right now, If he walked in my door right now, I would ask him what he's doing here. Okay? That's my brother. I know him personally. I trust him with my life. Okay? So you see, again, you're 30 years ago, Lewis, you was probably in high school somewhere reading porn magazines or something. Didn't even know what an Israelite was. So just cut the foolishness. As he just said, he would never tell you anything without showing it to you. Correct. That's because he knows me. See, it's the difference between what you're doing and what you're trying to say. You just hop on the bandwagon and you'll say anything that sounds controversial because you just got there really are no demons. But if you had to sum it up, you have a demon on you. If you had to sum it up like that from a religious perspective, you just have a demon on you. Meaning you don't have the ability to discern right from wrong. You don't have the ability. When you're wrong, you still double down on being wrong. And this is why, like Sue told me, she said she doesn't like listening when you're on because it's something wrong with you. And everybody's saying it to me because you can't be honest. That's the problem. You have to stop being this dishonest person and start being honest. Now I took you to your Quran. Your Quran says it was wicked for them. It was an idol. They were wrongdoers. They begged for mercy and forgiveness. So you just wasted literally an hour trying to pretend that the golden calf was a seat of mercy. For Yah Eloheinu, it's not. And when you go back to the story in Exodus, you know it's not because he opens up the earth and swallows them. Moses says, if you're for Yah, come over here. If you're for that idol, go over there. The ones that went over there, they died. See, the problem with you guys is you guys try to read verses and try to make arguments on verses. But as the brother Delta Ruth said, read the whole chapter. Line, watch this here. Let's say this is a line. Line upon, up on, line. You have to read everything. Precept upon precept. On top of, start from the top, go down. And then once you get the context, now since you understand the narrative, you can go here, there, here a little, there a little. You guys trying to start off here a little, there a little, don't even know what the story's talking about. And that's the problem you have. So now, my book says it's idolatry, it's a sin. We read that in 1 Kings chapter 12, that they literally says it's a sin. And it was wickedness. So I took you to your Quran that you follow. It says even more, it was a sin, wickedness. They were wrongdoers, revilers, etc. And begging for mercy and forgiveness. As everybody can see right here on the screen, I'm going to highlight it. Unless our Lord redeems us with his mercy and forgives us, we will be losers. And Moses and his people turned his people angry and what? Disappointed. So I don't want to hear all this, everything else. Well, let me explain. No, it's nothing to explain because you're trying to explain it away by adding other things in. Okay? And as Sue just said, they pierced Yah. Correct. How do we know it? When we go to Zechariah chapter 12. See, and this is the problem. When you go to Zechariah chapter 12, you can't just start at a verse and read a verse and make a doctrine. But that's what you keep doing. But Zechariah chapter 12, it says, the burden of the word of Yah for Yisrael, saith Yah, which stretched forth the heavens and laid the foundation of the earth and formeth the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling. And in that day, I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. And in that day, say, Yah, I will smite every house with astonishment. This is Yah talking. So Yah is the one that we pierced him. Not literally. It's a metaphor. How do you explain metaphors? Like, add the word like, and in certain ways. So when it says we pierce Yah, it's like we pierce Yah in certain ways. How? Because we attacked his character. We went against his commandments. We made him do us hurt. We made him put us in captivity. We made him punish us. We hurt him horribly. We hurt him terribly. We hurt him very badly because he's a father that wants right for his children, but we neglect right and want what the nations have. Just like you're neglecting Yah and you're trying to run to a desert God. You don't speak Arabic. You've never even been to Arabia. You don't even know your Quran. Like, that's why I let you talk all that time just to show you what's in your Quran. Like I said, again, I didn't decide I was an Israelite. I went through every single school of study for years before you even knew what you could have spelled the word religion. I was doing this. I was never a Muslim. I studied Islam. I was never a Jehovah's Witness. I studied Jehovah's Witness. I was never a Seventh-day Adventist. I studied it. I knew Christianity was wrong. I didn't have to go on YouTube and find out I was an Israelite. I was one of the first people teaching on YouTube that we were the Israelites. I didn't learn from YouTube. Yah showed me I was an Israelite. See, the people that taught you, I was on YouTube before them. And the brothers that know me, they know I've been teaching this for decades. Decades, not a decade, decades.
That's relevant. I've been in the ministry since I was 17. I'm 33.
Yeah, but no, you're not. No, you're not in the ministry because you're a Muslim.
You're a Kafir.
I know. That's what I want to be. Watch this here, Sue. If you're a Kafir and you're a disbeliever in Allah, put a 1 in the chat. Fred, if you're a disbeliever in the moon god of Islam, Allah, put a 1 in the chat. Delta Roots, if you're a Kafir and a disbeliever in Allah, put a 1 in the chat. We're not hurt by that, Lewis. That's an honor. Like, Lewis, that only means something to you in Islam. See, you're a Muslim. So calling me a Kafir? Look, Lewis, when a pale-faced man calls me the N-word, a nigger, that doesn't hurt me. Because I understand what a projection is. See, I've had pale-faced people try to say a race like I'm a monkey. And I just say, hey, your lips are thin. You have pale skin. Have you ever seen a monkey? You see, that's a projection. People often project what they are onto others when they're hurt. There's no reason just to hate people randomly. So you calling me a Kafir, you see those ones in the back chat? They don't follow Allah. They ain't hurt. Ain't nobody in this thing cussed you out and said anything about you. I ain't no Kafir. Nobody. We've evolved way beyond that, Lewis. If you look at the scriptures and what's happening in the world today, you the fool running around talking about Allah. Ain't gave you a single prophecy about Iran. Ain't told you nothing about the daughter of Babylon. Ain't told you nothing about nothing. Delta Rue says, and just to show him, thank you, Sue. We hurt y'all terribly. And I think I even used that verbiage. Sue also threw up her number 1. Fred threw up his number 1. I know Delta got his number 1, but watch what Delta says. People think the land of Israel is of the scriptures. It is going to be exposed. It is sad that the U.S. during the beginning of Israel is weak without a U.S. military. See, we're not even worried about, you talking about us a Kafir? Bro, look, let me show you something. Why are the Palestinians being killed? Huh, Lewis? Why? So let's get down to, because listen, you fail with this. But let's get down to brass tacks. Why are the Palestinians being killed? Where's Allah? I can show you videos of babies in the streets after bombs going out, crying to Allah, saying they're scared. They promise they're scared. Matter of fact, let me show you. Let me show you. So I want you guys to take a look at this, okay? And I want you to see, because many of the Palestinians are our people. I'm going to play this video. Let me share this. Oh, hold on. Let's go back. Listen to Did everybody hear what that kid said? I swear I'm scared. Where in the hell is Allah? Did y'all hear the second kid come on with that same gibberish nonsense that Rabbi Lewis came on with. That's why they're being killed. Because they're into idol worship. Where's your God? Them are goddamn babies. Where's your God? See, it's easy for you to be over here in Long Island somewhere, sitting in an air-conditioned room, and this child here is carrying a bag bigger than this whole damn body. And you want to talk to me about a damn moon god. Where is he? These people are not faking. You're faking. You don't read the Quran. They speak the language and they follow it, that idolatry to their death. That kid is homeless now. Look at the background. Look at the smoke. Look at the debris. What do you see? Let's watch it again. Where is he? Why can't he save this?
The definition of
Here we go here. Let's keep going. Yeah, graphic content. Let's keep going. Where is he?
والله يعطيك العافية.
Now, let me ask you a question. In your Quran, show me the curses that he put on the Palestinians in your Quran. Oh, he ran. He ran, y'all. He ran. Y'all wins again. Y'all wins again. Y'all wins again. And that's another thing. All this nonsense, running around here talking about some wicked idol. But when you hit them with the truth, right there, black and white, in color, you see children crying. Where is he? Where's their God? No answers. Mecca got shut down during COVID. Your God couldn't beat COVID. Let's say it again. Allah couldn't beat COVID-19. They had to shut down his place of worship with no Hajj because he couldn't heal them. So Allah should have went and got my boy.
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
Burn. Well, I'm telling you, it gets hot down there. I mean, like Jesse says, it's Africa hot down there, man. And it gets... Are you listening to me? Because it's right there on the coast. It gets muggy, and that's what it takes to kill this thing. It hates heat. It hates humidity. It hates water. It just dies. I hollered at the top of my voice, in the name of Jesus, you get back up there where you belong. Boy, up it went.
Yeah.
I messed us up. Man.
Good afternoon. I'm Hal.
Does everybody understand this foolishness? See, that's what I'm talking about. So he would have done better. He would have done better if his God, the moon god, ALLAH, would have just went and got Kenneth Copeland and blew that COVID-19 out of existence. So as you can see now, U.S. braces for Iranian retaliations after strikes. So now, as you guys are privy, and I'm gonna tell you guys a story. So And it's something soon I was talking about, but y'all know depression is real. So for the last few weeks, I've been kind of depressed or whatever, right? And so well, actually longer than that, but I kind of put, we men, we put stuff on the back burner, just like, because I'm like, y'all, I'm ready to go. I'm just ready to get away from this hellhole. It's just, and you want to know when we're going. You just want to know all these different things. It's just, I just, the more I go outside and I'm around people, the more wickedness I see, the more I just want to leave, right? So as I'm sitting there talking to y'all, I really want to leave. I really want to get up out of here. And it just started a gradual type of depression, right? A gradual type of depression. And I was here in my office at my desk, and I was sitting here, and I was like at wit's end. I was like, man, if you're not gonna save us, I don't want to be here. Period. Right? If you're not gonna save us, I don't want to be here. If we're not going back home, then you can just go ahead and take me. I don't want to be here. I'm really tired of this place. I'm tired of this place. If I didn't have a family and children, I would have been packed up and just went in the wilderness somewhere. I'm not going to lie to you. And built a log cabin somewhere, right? Because it's just seeing all the deception, the wickedness, and the foolishness you're dealing with different people and stuff like that, right? If I had to do that again, I wouldn't want to deal with that, right? As my brother Fred says, yes, my brother, depression is very real. It is. And like I said, a lot of times as men, especially Israelite men, we just push power through, right? We just power through. We don't really worry about it. We just power through. We just sit there and say, well, man, everything's going to be all right. Or we just take it and internalize. And then all of a sudden you might see a brother out just do something crazy. That's because all that pressure, it just had to be released. So, and I never get to that point where I want to harm somebody like that. So I was just like, yeah, if you're not going to say, just, hey, I'm tired of it. I'm just really tired of it. And I said, well, y'all, do we have much time? And I'm sitting here with my head down just like this here. Literally, I got my head down like this here. And I had the light off, so it was kind of dark in here. And all of a sudden, I heard, yes. I literally hopped up, looked around. Like, I swear, it's like somebody was in here with me. That's only happened to me one other time. And that one other time was like years ago when I found out on getting on the path of who I really was. Because my family at the time, and here's the killing thing. Fred is in here. So Fred is, I can tell you, Fred been on since I was 14. Since we was in high school together. And Fred can vouch for this. Fred, did I not have my siblings saying that? And here's the deal. Fred, before I say this story, put in the link if I told you to come on here today. Or you just showed up, you saw it and showed up. Which one was it? Like you're still on. Let me see. So, and he may not be, he may have heard it. So Fred, if you're on here, did I tell you to jump on it, or did you just saw it and you just jumped on? Which one was it? Okay, he says, okay, y'all can see it here. He says, I saw it and showed up. So we hadn't talked today on the phone, right? We hadn't talked today, right? So, and I'm gonna say this to you because when he said no, not at all, as you guys can see. So but we got some stories when we were in Christianity. We could tell you some stories. But anyway, I go to the next. But anyway, so Fred, is it true or false that when I was learning these different things and really studying the Bible, we've had friends that we were all super close fall out? Is that true or false? Some of them are pastors today and etc., but we fell out. Siblings of mine discussing us because I worship the devil. Was that ever said, Fred? because he'll be able to substantiate this story or whatnot. So like my family was my family. Okay, there we go. He says very true, right? So my family was literally in one breath saying that I worship the devil, but in the next breath they would drop their children off to their uncle, right? So Delta Root asked, did they cut you off? So here's the deal, Delta Roots. No, it was just like a lot of slander. A lot of slander. And Fred was there for all of it. Because I, like I said, we've been knowing for each other. He's like, okay, it was 3 of us, now it's just 2 of us. So we was all friends from high school. And leaving Christianity, my family was like, what the heck? But I was really studying. I wasn't going to clubs. Right? Fred will tell you, I don't go to clubs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. So I've never been out in the nightlife and all of that stuff. We don't do all of that. We've always been kind of like homebodies, take care of our children, and do the best we can and be right and fair by people. We've always been like that. That's why he and I, after 30 years, are still just like this here. Okay. Like he said, exactly, neither one of us. Like, we don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't do any of that. Right? If you look at our social media pages and platforms, you'll see that our children, we post more about our children and stuff than anything. Right? And I've always been a person that kind of like mentorship and things like that, kids at school. I've been doing that for decades, teaching, coaching, developing, getting kids scholarships and stuff like that. And like Jeff said, I'm the same way. So what happened was my family was saying I was a devil worshiper. I had demons and stuff like that on me, etc. And at this time, I had met my wife, Katrina, and we had went to this church called Word of God at the time. It was a mixed congregation or whatever case may be. Now, one day we were in there. Let me just tell the story and I'll cycle back around to it. Right. So one day we were in there and I remember I saw this play. It was called Beyond the Grave. And it was about people when they die. And these kids were in high school. A school shooter came in, killed people. Some people went to heaven. Some people went to hell. And it was so realistic. But I had already started really studying. This is like, man, this is a long time ago. I had already been studying hell, heaven, and what these things meant. See, before I even had internet access, I was already discovering, researching heaven, hell, learning the Hebrew words, the Greek words, etc. So this is what I was doing on my own spare time. So when somebody out on a Friday night at the club, I was at home literally studying. Yeah, but Fred said at one time they said they were going to stop praying for you. Right? Okay. So my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, but we were there and we was at the play. I said, let's go. I knew when I had studied, I knew it was wrong. I said, I'm done with this church. I left. The play, I promise you, if you see the play, even see the play today, it was like this thing they did. I'm surprised they didn't make movie theaters because that damn thing was it was a real horror movie. Well, anyway, when you're so young and your whole family is coming against you, and you only have like a handful of friends, and then some of your friends start going against you, your siblings and stuff like that. Because it's 8 of us, but I'm the 3rd oldest. So I got 2 older brothers and I got 4 people underneath me. Or 5 people underneath me. Right? So when that started happening, I got very, very, very depressed. Because I was at home and just the same way I was in an apartment. My girlfriend and I, at the time, my wife, Katrina, and I was sitting there and I was like, I felt like I was losing my mind. And I was in the dark. I was afraid at the computer. And I was saying to myself, like, man, I'm about to lose my mind. I'm about to lose my mind. And yep, Pastor Sam Carr. Yep. And he retired. I don't know how a pastor retires, right? You retire for working from God. I guess you get a pension in the 401k. But anyway, I'm sitting there and I really feel like my mind is leaving my body. I feel like at any moment, this is going to conclude and I'm going to be a person that's going to be like, you're going to think somebody slipped me a Mickey or something. I literally felt my mind. I had been broken that much from the stress from my father, my own family and stuff like that, siblings and stuff like that. I didn't mean to say father, but my family and stuff like that. My mother, she said she always knew I was special. But of course, they're looking like, hold on. Now, I know my son is a good kid, good child. He knows the Bible, but at the same time, like, You know, they grew up Christian. So as I'm sitting there, I feel like I'm about to lose my mind. I'm sitting in the dark and I'm like, oh God, I didn't know Yah, I didn't know anything. I just knew God. I was like, God, help me. I'm losing my mind. Please stop this. Whatever this is, stop it. And I'm sitting there, I broke down crying. My wife is in the bedroom asleep. I'm at the computer just crying, bawling my eyes out. And then I heard a voice literally internally tell me, you can follow them or you can follow me. And when I heard it, I wasn't sure if it was internal or auditory because it was so clear that I turned around to look. And I looked, and I'm looking in the dark because I knew somebody was in there with me. Because I was like, no, that wasn't internal. That somebody's in here with me. I knew it. The second time I heard it, and this is why I say the first time was like somebody was in there with me, because the second time I heard it, it was more here. I didn't turn around to look. And I felt like my mind, like, okay, you're at the standstill. You're going to lose your mind or you're not going to lose your mind. You can follow them or you can follow me. And I literally said, okay, I follow you. And literally all the pressure and stress was just stripped away from me. Yah's my witness. Yah Eloheinu is my witness. It was all stripped from me. Okay. And at that moment, I knew what I was into was right. But see, I was self-doubting myself, saying to myself, well, how can I not know all these different things? How can I be wrong about all this stuff? But I know I'm reading it. I'm studying the words. My grandmother and my siblings, they're not doing that. Right? Yeah. Now, that's the second time. So this has happened to me 3 times. And the last time it just happened to me a week ago. So I'm getting to that Delta Roots. So that was the first one. That set me on my journey to keep going. I discovered I was an Israelite. I started teaching it. I was in this city. I was the only Israelite in this city that knew they were Israelites. So much so, everybody thought I was a Muslim because I didn't eat pork the whole night, right? And then this happened again to me. And it's always when I'm at my very lowest. So remember, having this thing happen, I'm asking y'all, like, please just talk to me again. Just like, I know that was you. Talk to me again. The second one is I went to sleep. My wife and I was laying in the bed. Now we're married. We've moved. We're married. No children yet. And I'm laying down in the bed. You know how you're kind of like dozing off. You're trying to go to sleep. So you start thinking about something. And then and all of a sudden, I was thinking about something silly. Then all of a sudden, boom, I was in this big white room with no shadows. No shadow. As far as you can see, pure white. The only thing I can think of is like if you ever use an Oculus Rift, when you put it on, you see a white expanse with no shadows in it. That's exactly how it looked. But it was super bright. And I was sitting there. And I noticed as I was looking, I noticed I didn't have my shirt on. I had no shirt on. So I looked down, I'm completely butt naked. And I'm like, why in the heck am I naked? And then I heard a voice say, turn around. So I turned around to look. And man, I saw an entity 15, 17 feet tall, pure white light. The outline of him was like a rainbow, like real rainbow colors, just blinding. I wasn't afraid. But my body was. So I fell down. So as I fall down, I'm trying to look back like under my arm like this. Like I'm trying to look back under my arm at it, but I can't. And it's like my body is like, fool, stay down. But my mind is not comprehending what's happening. I'm like, what the heck is going on? But it's like my body was like, boom, get down. And I understood after this experience when it says, and I feel like Daniel says, and I fell down as though I was dead. That's what it is. As though I was dead. You don't really know it. It's like your body is just respecting that presence. So when I fell down, it's like my body was like trembling and shaking. He said, ask me a question. And I remember, now think about this here. You have all these people on YouTube and all this stuff. And I talked to God and I talked to him and I talked to Jesus. And when I talked to Jesus, I asked him, was I going to be you're going to be a great and mighty warrior for the Lord? No. That was not my experience. My body was definitely afraid. Now at this time, I start to get afraid, right? I start to get afraid. So as I get afraid, he said, ask me a question. The only thing I can ask is, I said, and I'm just getting goosebumps. So I'm gonna have to end this broadcast, but I heard, ask me a question. And the only thing I can say is, do you love me? And this time when he said yes, it was like internal, like through all my cells. And I'm talking about, I jumped up out the bed, took off running to the living room, and started crying. And my wife came in. So what I'm gonna do is, guys, because I'm looking at the time frame, I had something to do. I'm gonna come back on and I'm gonna continue this story, okay? And then I'll show you the one that I'll probably go back on later on tonight in about an hour, and finish the last piece of it. Okay. But like I said, because this is the third, that was the second time. Now the third time was something that just happened recently, and this is all between like 12, 14 years intervals each time. So I'm gonna send this to you. Like I said, I'll be back on in just a bit, okay, guys? Like I said, just talking about it got me feeling kind of crazy, like goosebumps. All right.